acceleration of an object that is experienced by an object, or that you see in an object, as a result of the force F being applied on it, when it has a mass m, is given by this equation. All right? To say it in an English sentence altogether, you would say something like, the acceleration of an object is equal to the amount of force on it that's causing the acceleration divided by the amount of mass it has. Okay, so that was just one sentence and incorporated the whole equation. The acceleration of an object upon which a force is exerted is equal to the amount of force exerted on it divided by the amount of mass it has. It doesn't have to be exactly those words, but that's what A equal F over M means. What is F equal to, just from algebra? A is equal to F over M. What's F equal to? M times A. So this law is usually with F equal to MA. It doesn't really matter which way you write it, mathematics. F is equal to MA. What does that mean? How would you read, let's say somebody volunteer, maybe something you volunteer, or how would you read? It's not F equals MA, obviously, but how would you read that? How would you read this? I don't know. Somebody else? Anybody want to volunteer? How would you read this equation? Or you know what? Let's try. Read this equation. Somebody volunteered to read this equation. Either the way I read it or some other way. But not just A equal to F over M. Anybody? Okay. All right. Somebody else? Maybe? Let's try. Okay, this is very important. Do the same thing with this, F equal MA. Make sure that you can say this equation as a grammatically correct English sentence. Like, the force on an object, F, is given by the product of the mass of the object undergoing acceleration and the acceleration itself. Something like that. Make a sentence in English that's grammatically correct, that incorporates a whole, and look at the logic of this equation in the same way that the logic of this equation is clear. Look at the logic of this equation. Does it make sense? And what does it mean? If I change the M, should the F get bigger or smaller? Change the A if I change the F. Look at the third form of the equation. What's the third form of the equation? M equals F over A. Look at this one too. See if it makes sense to you what this means. Okay? When you see those three forms of the equation and make an English sentence that's grammatically correct, describing them, you're beginning to understand it, and you'll be able to apply. What we're going to be doing later on is solving this equation in different kind of systems, different kind of examples, and so on. You should be able to read this equation, not just A equals F over M, but the reason you should be able to read it that way is because when you're solving problems, it suddenly won't be clear anymore which A you mean, or which F you mean, or which M you mean. Look at these two forms of the equation. You'll practice saying in a grammatically correct single sentence in English. All right, it's very important to understand the equation and very important in applying the equation to problems. All right, it's not trivial. It's not so simple as you see by the fact that you don't want to raise your hand because you're not sure if you can do it. I want to do it again until you feel confident. I have it written out in some of the notes that I'll give you. Okay, this one would be read as, the way I said it here is, the acceleration of an object of mass m when it experiences a force F is given by this equation. Or a better way, if you exert a force F amount on an object of mass m, the resulting acceleration is equivalent ways of